everybody, and welcome to another edition of our Heart to Heart podcast. On today's episode, I've got a very dear friend of mine who is zooming in all the way from New York City. Her name is Natalie Caruncho, and she's going to be discussing her life's journey where she encountered profound loss and her life transitions. So, without further ado, let's jump right in today because we've got so much to talk about. And without further ado, hello, Natalie. How are you?
I'm good, Cristy. So nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, thank you for opening up. I'm so excited to talk to you today because I'm sure many people will love to hear from you, especially those who were very touched by your mom. For those of you that don't know Natalie's mom, her name was Gerri Caruncho, and she had the privilege of teaching so many of us for, I don't even know how many years did Miss Gerri teach for, Natalie?
Miss Gerri was Miss Gerri. She was over almost 30 years. And before our
Years.
studios, and she had her own studio for 15 years way back when. So it's been teaching.
She touched so many lives, including me and many of my friends, in her dance years as a teacher at Gulliver Prep. And without further ado, this is her beautiful daughter, Natalie, who has so much of her mom in her. Just so much.
So here we go.
I know. I'm holding back tears. I've got my Kleenex back here, but it's okay because this is real, you know? And I'm just so grateful that you're here, and I hope we honor her memory, and I hope that she's shining down on us, which I'm sure she is,
For
and smiling. Yeah. So without further ado, please introduce yourself.
Great. My name is Natalie. I'm Miss Gerri's daughter. Um, I'm living here in Williamsburg in New York, and my whole career has been as an artist. I mean, for as long as before I could walk, I was dancing, and my mom was my first dance teacher. I grew up dreaming, wanting to be a performer on Broadway. I got to do that, which was an absolute dream come true in a show 10 years ago called On Your Feet. Um, I did an acting program in college and got to do a couple first national tours, and now I'm jumping back and forth. But it's been really like the pleasure of my life to get to have something that I fell in love with as a kid become my career and my calling and the way I got to express myself. I really believe that the theater can be life-changing, whether it's like taking people for 2 hours out of their lives and giving them laughter and joy, or if it's mirroring back to people something of themselves that they maybe haven't touched directly, but through the art they can. Um, that's been a profound part of my journey, performing. Uh, I got married in 2016. I know we're going to talk about uh, divorce and things, but got married in 2016 to a wonderful guy. We, had life together, and we got divorced in 2023. Separated and then divorced. Um, the pandemic was a really challenging time, I think, on so many levels as an artist because the theater shut down. I think in my marriage because we were already sort of navigating some really tough stuff, and I think for so many, the pandemic just like highlighted and put such pressure on on us for sure. The last couple of years have been like a particular doozy. I think like starting with the pandemic, my aunt Cristy, who's an exceptional woman, was diagnosed with cancer many years ago, and she stayed with us for so long. It was such a gift that in 2022 she passed away, divorced in 2023. Sort of started to build my life back up, and 2024 my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, just the most unfair thing, particularly for someone who was still working full time and was fine and healthy, all things considered. And she, fought beautifully and bravely and passed away in 2024, last year. And so it's been a time of like a lot of transition and a lot of learning and a lot of growth. I have 2 dogs.
You've done it.
The end.
You did. You've done it. with so much grace,
Oh, thank you.
which is a testament to the way your mom raised you and your grandmother, who is also needing to be mentioned at this moment because she is a force.
Of course. She's incredible, 97 years old, lost 2 of 3 daughters in the last couple of years. I mean, she's been through so much, and she's, still dancing.
Still dancing. So, as you can see, Natalie has just suffered so much loss in such a short window of life. And yet she is still out there smiling and, dancing and instructing yoga to others. And part of the reason why I reconnected with Natalie once I learned about her mom's passing was that she published a journal entry. And when I read that, I immediately picked up the phone. I texted her and I said, Natalie, if you ever want to discuss your life journey with us, I think that you've opened up so much with this journal entry and it's going to help and touch so many lives. So, do you have your journal today to share a little bit?
I do, yeah, I have that article essay pulled up. I can share a little piece of it.
Please.
Yeah, great.
Start the new year with heart and incredible flavor. Head to the Heartful Living website to secure your $39 bottle of fresh pressed olive oil from the Olive Oil Hunter. If you're willing to pay just $1 to help cover shipping, this exclusive offer is yours. Fresh flavor, fresh year, fresh start. Let's pour more goodness into our days, one drizzle at a time.
Um, we'll jump right in sort of towards the end, but, um hold on, I need a Kleenex already. In my experience, life gives us opportunities to grow and confront our stuff again and again until we either get it or decide to live with it. These opportunities may look like jobs, life events, people, or conversations that keep coming back around like a record scratch we just can't quite get over. In 2023, I got divorced. I didn't know where to go, what to say, or who to turn to. Even as things were getting hard, I didn't want to believe we could break. We'll be fine, we'll sort it out. I sort things out. And when we didn't, it was Shakespeare-sized heartbreak. At home, I'd collapse to my knees, crying as everything in me still tried to hold it together. It was my first go with grief, of lost love, the me I was with him, the future I thought we'd have. My mom would call, "How are you, my beautiful daughter?" I would stop in my tracks and pour into the phone. Anger and pain needed a place to release, and my dad caught me there. And still I fought to keep it together, to move on and move forward. I started redecorating my apartment. I hosted dinners. I felt my world start to expand as life forced me to open up. Friends showed up. I wasn't alone. By New Year's Eve, my mom and I were celebrating the start of a new way forward, owning our lives, being free, onward and upward. And then it was 2024. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in March. She died in July. I was with her every step of the way. It is time I will forever be grateful for. We were partners in this unchosen journey, dancing around the block, cooking and talking. She was extraordinary all the way through. I saw my sweet mom want to protect everyone she loved from the news, from the realities as we learned them. She also wanted to do it on her time, owning her life, just as she had claimed in the new year. I respect that. I get part of my own desire for agency from her. In May, I heard myself tell my sweet mom, we need to say yes when people offer to help. We cannot do this alone. Now I dance in the mornings. I engage in conversations about grief and how to live this one life. I keep the door open. I'm learning how to keep my walls down. I name what I'm feeling when I feel it. I don't hide from discomfort. I let it stay. I invite grief and discomfort to sit at my table because I need a moment with them to show little Natty, you're safe. I've got you. I can pause there. There's more, but you can look at my Substack and read it.
You invite grief to sit at your table.
Yeah, I think that's been an image that I don't know where it came from, but I think there's this real desire from the world. I think because we don't have a lot of fluency in grief with ourselves or with each other in a way. I think it comes out of a desire to not see the people we love sad. There's this thing about like, you know, your mom would want you to be happy, like move forward. Um, she would want you to live your life, and all of that is so true. But there's this focus on like moving on and not being too sad and not letting depression get you. And I think something I've learned is that grief is a doorway to her, and it's a way to honor love. I mean, I've read this somewhere, like, grief is love in a bigger coat. And,
Like
and I
that.
isn't it sweet? And sad, but it's like, I don't wanna move on from the love with my mom in particular. It's like, I don't wanna move on from her. And so the more I sit with grief and allow myself to feel it, even when it looks like falling to my knees and weeping, um, it's like each time you go there, it gets a little lighter, or I get a little stronger and learn how to carry it, and therefore carry her and carry more of myself forward. And so I let it stay.
I Wow. So I want to address that, but I also want to back up a little bit
Absolutely.
because you were hit with so much at once, right? However, your divorce almost allowed you to be 100% fully present for your
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah.
And who would have thought, right? So, looking back, do you consider that a gift almost?
I mean, in a certain lens, I think my mom really needed me and I needed to be there for her. Um, and so, in a way, because my ex and I were where we were in our relationship, because things were hard, we would just say we're in a tough spot, I think individually and then therefore together. Um, that I was able to just, I mean, I had nothing else to focus on except my mom. I was like fully, fully, fully present with her, for her, as her advocate, was that I then had time because I was then divorced and on my own. I had this time to sort of piece myself back together in a way that I really needed to be strong and present and in myself open and available, you know. Um, And I reconnected with friends in a way that I just hadn't realized how isolated I had gotten. And my friends were still there, my family was still there, certainly.
Of course, of course.
Right. My ass
So you know what I'm trying to say, right? I'm trying to say that had you been married still while your mom got it, you would not have been 1,000% present for her because you would still have other responsibilities in your life that you would have to tend to. This allowed you to be 1,000% freely with her.
absolutely. I mean, yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the beautiful thing of going through something like that, I think in partnership, just to acknowledge the people out there that like, you sure, people out there, and on my own desire to, I it was the most beautiful thing to be there with my mom. Um, period. There's no like caveat from that. And there were moments of it that were really hard that it was like, oh my God, I wish there was, like someone who was there for me. Um, and I will say that so many people, I mean, including my ex, showed up in a really like beautiful way during that time to hold me. It was a gift of that time too. Let's see, overuse the word gift, but yeah.
Natalie, looking back, what was the most unexpected gift that came out of such a painful transition of divorce?
Mm. I think I got um I think I got myself back. I think, and this isn't the about my ex at all. I think my where I had gotten in that time was a place that felt really diminished in myself. Like I wasn't taking up space in the way I know myself to. And I had sort of left myself behind. And that's life. But I think the gift I got was more me. and I felt it in a really tangible way in 2023, sort of in post. Um, Felt myself waking up more days, recognizing that more of myself was present.
I love that. That's beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about your mom's cancer battle, if that's okay with you, and how you balanced being a daughter and a caretaker because you were with her every step of the way. What did you learn about yourself while caring for your mom through her cancer journey
Mm.
at a time where you were finding yourself again post divorce?
Yeah, I think um I think my strength, my resilience. Um I I think when you go through something like the pandemic, like divorce, there's this big part that feels like, oh my God, I failed and I'm weak and I didn't fix it and I wasn't able to, and all the things that you lose when you lose that like partnership, um, a way to vision forward. I felt really, there was a part of me that was just like, oh God, I lost or something. And last year with my mom, um, I felt so capable and energized and able to hold myself. To reach out for help is something that I feel like I learned last year and continue to learn. Um, but I was really able to show up, and I think and advocate for her, and have tough conversations and hold really tough stuff with a sense of lightness and a focus towards life. I think we didn't spend 4 months preparing for her death. It was like she stayed really related to life, and I think that is, so incredibly important and is something that I now am like, "Oh, that is, like, maybe the most important thing, whether you're in a cancer diagnosis or not, is to stay really focused on the fact that we get to live."
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's also a testament to how strong your family unit is also because um, it's clear that these experiences shaped and it only strengthened your family bond because your brother was your tag team
Yeah,
with you, taking care of your mom in those 4 months.
yeah.
And every time you guys would, share information or post something about your mom, you guys were always this strong duo. Um, I want to go back to your grandmother because your grandmother's also a force, but
Mm,
she had just lost her first daughter.
yeah.
She was, at this point, you guys knew that Miss Jerry's cancer diagnosis was terminal. How did you hold your grandmother up while you yourself are struggling knowing that your mom's in the state she's in?
Yeah, I think, I mean, she is a force, and she lived with my mom for, like, 25 years. They were, housemates, roommates. Not roommates, but, you know. Um, I think there was a big part of it because some of it was really, I think, confusing. Not that she didn't understand what was happening by any means, but it's just a lot to hold. And to your point, she had just gone through that. And I think looking at my mom, it just felt unimaginable, you know. She was so well. Like, it's still sometimes for me even, I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean this happened?" You know? And to someone so kind, and it just some of it just, like, doesn't make sense. And so I think there was a part of it with my grandmother that was making her part of the solution. Like, I remember talking to her a lot about, you know, um, like, "Grandma, we gotta make sure that mom stays positive," you know? Like, "She's gonna be okay," "We just have to get her through this next chemo." And keeping her focused and sort of bite-sized, um, instead of focusing again on the terminalness of it.
Sure.
because a big part of it was to see how much time we could get. And the oncologist was always, I mean, the team at Baptist was incredible. Every nurse, every doctor, they were like angel human beings, every one of them. And my mom kept all of their names on her phones.
Of course she did.
Yeah. And then made them cookies.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
But it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. But, everyone there was like, we got to keep her, again, related to life and staying in the hope of it, not out of some like disillusion, but that if patients are related to life, they stay alive, you know? And it's at that time, it was like any extra time we could have with her is important. So I think that was we took care of my grandma until it was time to talk to her about it, you know?
How about you today?
She's great. I mean,
She is. Yeah.
she's great. Even more change, I think. And she lived in Miami for 60 plus years, and now she's living with my Aunt Kathy, who lives in Atlanta. And she spent time there and, in the past many, many, many years. But it's different to leave the place that you feel is your home. And I think that's, a whole other thing that she's had to navigate as, of course, 97 years old. It's just,
She sure I just keep repeating that she's a force because I just remember her when we were in high school. She was at every one of our performances, not just attending as an audience member. She was building sets. She was sewing costumes. She was doing ballet buns. I mean, she was, for all intensive purposes, our backstage manager, like our house mom in the backstage for every single thing.
yeah. And as the years went on, she probably did like less and less of that, but was always a row, like traveling, chaperoning.
And that's how I remember your family, Natalie. I remember not just Miss Gerri, our dance teacher, our musical theater instructor. It was Miss Gerri, mother of Natalie. And Natalie is also in the show, and so is her brother, JJ, and so is the grandma, and so is your aunt, and so is your cousin. Like, it was a family affair always. Um, which, you know, it's a testament to your family and the strength and the unity that you all have together. Um, and so Miss Sherry herself just touched so many lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things too is that it's like if she met you, her arms were extended and like wrapping themselves around you before, you know.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of seeing her, I think it was 2 years ago,
Mhm.
3 years ago, when we all went back to campus for a unexpected 20-something reunion.
Well,
And we walked into the dance room and she started crying. She's like, "What are you guys doing here?" I said, "Was here to see you." I was, I'm so grateful that I had that moment in time to just give her a hug.
yeah. Yeah, she loved everyone. She just like loved her students like they were her kids, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
my brother and I really like shared her in that way. Um,
And when at her service, at her memorial, which was a celebration of life, which is what she wanted,
oh yeah.
it was every single student, every single colleague she's ever had. It was shoulder to shoulder, because she touched so many lives. So, something that I found very interesting that you mentioned to me is after the service, you went out with a group of, I guess, her students,
Yeah.
and you were shocked to see how, when you all sat down, everybody kind of tiptoed around talking about her because I guess they were scared that it was going to make you sad. But on the contrary, the fact that you didn't bring her up made you sad. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it was definitely this was like the first time I had encountered something like this. It was, just after she passed. Um, it was like a group of the Sun Dancers, like group to the dance team, It's like my people,
Mhm.
the extended fam. And since we were all in town, we all went to dinner, and it was beautiful. It was, like, wonderful to reconnect, but part of it was to be together after Miss Jerry's passing, or, like, after the celebration of life, like, it was sort of centered around that, how could it not? And then, dinner was happening, and then we just, like, never talked about her, and after dinner, a couple of us stayed, behind, and one of them said to me, "I wanted to see something about your mom, but I don't wanna make you sad, I don't wanna make you cry." Uh, and it, like, hit I, like, burst out of me. I was just like, "Well, you have to talk about her." I feel like, you know, I feel like we invited her into a room, and instead of letting her be here, we put her in the hall and closed the door, you know? It's like, if you don't mention her, then she can't come in. Um, and then it doesn't acknowledge, uh, what's, like, real for so many of us at the table, not just me. But certainly for me in a way that I didn't know how, and this still happens sometimes, um, where sometimes it's like it's so present for me that I don't know how to pretend like it's not. Because again, it's this idea of like, I mean, as if I was literally like taking my mom and putting her outside. Um, but it was after that moment, it was like we had like untightened a valve, because then everybody wanted to talk about their memories with her. And it was like, oh my God, I can breathe.
Doesn't it make you happy when people come up to you and wanna talk about your mom? Because I lost my grandma 5 years ago, and for me, that was the most unimaginable loss to date, hands down. I love talking about her. Even if you see me bawling, when somebody comes up to me and tells me, "Your grandma was amazing. I remember when your grandma did this. I remember when we went here. I remember when she took me here." It gives me so much happiness to know that she left a stamp on that person's life. Don't you feel the same way?
100%. 100%. Uh-huh.
So why do you think society has put such a taboo on naming grief and mentioning those we have lost? Why do you think that is?
I mean, I think it's really hard to see the people we love sad, you know? I can think of myself, I mean, I will now be better about this because of the grief and loss that I've experienced with my mom, being someone who's gone through a divorce, all of us in a pandemic, those are all, shared experiences. And I know, I am sure, I couldn't name who, but I am sure I have been across from someone whose someone passed and not said anything for fear of offending, making that person sad. I'm sure I've tiptoed. And now what I know is true is that, like, be brave and don't tiptoe. Like, ask, like, what was their name? Are you sad? Like, just name the thing. Like, when people say sort of like, oh, how are you? As if nothing has happened. I'm like, you know, but
Yeah,
I think a big part of it comes out of not wanting to go towards the darkness of, um, grief is this, like, dark thing, or it can feel like, we're going towards depression, like, why would you choose to focus on something negative? But I think it's a real misunderstanding about what grief can be. It's love. It's love. It's
absolutely.
acknowledging people that are
You wouldn't be sad if you didn't love fiercely.
important. I mean, it's a I mean, the size of my grief is the size of my love.
And I think that
Yeah.
fits loss of a family member, loss of a friend, loss of a husband, divorce. And if you show signs of sadness, there was love there.
Yeah.
As if not, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. I mean, it shows that you, like, wanted things and that you had a connection with somebody and that you loved deeply. I mean, I think most important that there was, like, a heart open, that, um, I think culturally, though, I think there's or societally, or, whatever the right word is, uh, I think we want to be focused on like the things that we're doing and the projects we're creating and forward, 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 life, 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 or work, 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 or whatever it is that we sort of like hyper focus on. And I think it's hard to sort of sit with, like what's not okay. And like when we talk,
I agree with you. And I also think that when you sit with it and you listen and you're open to it, you'll find reminders of that person and everywhere. And you've had that experience of symbols
yeah.
and it's your mom, right? You want to say what they are?
Yeah. It's funny sitting here. It's like the music.
I was looking at it. I'm looking at it on my screen. I'm like, there she is.
Yeah, my mom is like has become like sunflowers. They're everywhere. And it's her. She wanted them at the celebration of life, her celebration of life. They were everywhere. And now it's this really beautiful thing. It's like I'll get text messages and photos of like, I saw sunflowers, like your mom is here, and Miss Jerry's here. Um, and it's funny with signs and symbols and all that kind of stuff. It's like you could choose to say it's not. You could, but like, why? You know? My mom said to me, um, we were talking about life and things she wanted for me, um, and she was like, Natalie, I won't be here, but I'll be everywhere, and you'll know it's me, you know. And so anytime I see something, sometimes I'm talking about something or I'm thinking something, and even here in the apartment, the sun will sort of brighten a little, and if my mom pops into my mind, I'm like, oh, that's her, you know. Or she told
I
me
agree.
it would be a sweet breeze, not any breeze, but
A sweet one.
yeah. And every once, the wind blows a lot, but every once in a while I'm walking and there's something in the air and she comes to my mind and I'm like, oh, it's certainly sunflowers everywhere.
I had forgotten about the sunflower being on your wall from the last time we had spoken until right now. So now I just got confirmation that she's with us and I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in sign as well. Um,
Beautiful. Why not stay open to it,
yeah,
given each
yeah,
choice?
absolutely. So you mentioned you invited grief to your table, but in doing so, you actually literally invited people to your table. Can you share how your family and friends coming over for family dinner helped you overcome the first year of grief?
Yeah, that was very well done. Well, thank you. It's like, um,
You're listening to the Heart to Heart podcast with Cristy Diaz for Heartful Living, where stories, connection, and intention guide everything we do. Interested in partnering with us? We're always open to collaborations that align with intention, creativity, and community. If you feel your brand is a match, we'd love to connect and explore what we can create together. And now back to listening.
yeah, it's excellent. I think, the first family meal I did, um, was like the December. I had redecorated the apartment and really needed people to be here, to fill these walls with new energy um, and so this tradition of like family meals, like once a month, um, has become a thing. And my favorite part of it is how like imperfect it is, and how people end up gathering around the kitchen like family. And the invitation always, no matter who's here, is like, esto tu casa. So like look around and grab what you need, and when you're here, you're home. And to hear people the next day or get a text or even during dinner or something, if somebody says like, you know, Natalie, I feel like home, or they exhale and, we end up talking about things that are vulnerable or heart opening or something here at the table. Like that is the best thing. And it's been a beautiful way to thank my family, to feel my friends come, you know, for them to prove they don't have to prove to me anything, but it's like validating that you're not alone, you know.
I've been in kind of gathering mental images, if you will, in my head that if heartful living was in a dictionary, I think the best way to express it would be in photographs and images. And what you just said, the imperfection of these casual family dinners would be one of the images I would place in the dictionary because you're living authentically. It's raw, it's about the moment, it's messy, but it's life and it's so beautiful. And there's nothing I love more than like an intimate casual dinner around my island where the table's not set, where people are just, hanging over the island,
It's the best.
munching with their fingers, finger foods, and just having a great time and opening up and being vulnerable.
It's the best. On the
It
flip,
really is.
like, there's nothing I love. Same, like the people in the kitchen sort of packed in together, depending on
Love it.
people here. It's the best. And then the other part of it, I think, which has also been fun, and that is in a way a lesson before my mom passed, but certainly after. It's like also don't wait to make it special and to make a fuss. My mom always wanted to if we had champagne, it was like, we'll pull out the bubbles. It's like, well, why? It's a Thursday. Like, no, well, we're celebrating being together. So
I love that.
yeah,
Another thing that just popped into my head, and it's not so much your story, it's really your brother's story, but he mentioned how your mom made such a big deal about his birthday and it was their anniversary.
yeah. Oh, I know, so sweet.
I love that. And they would celebrate their anniversary.
Yeah,
That's so beautiful. And it's just, I always tell my kids, by the way, and I took that from your mom after I heard that story. I always used to say happy birthday to myself on my kids' birthdays because I'm the one that brought them into this world. I deserve some attention too. And that was something your mom taught me to do when she would always make a very big deal about your brother and their anniversary.
yeah. Well, and for her, it's like, I mean, she always wanted to be a mom. So when I was born, I made her a mom, and when my brother was born, she was a mom again. It's like, so in that way, it's like, yeah, I'm celebrating that I get to be your mom. You know?
Yeah, and she made a massive to do about it, and it's a big deal, and I love that.
Yeah.
It's so great. So let's shift a little and let's talk about career Natalie right now.
Yeah.
Whoa, you're a badass. Let's just start right there. You're a badass. And when we were growing up, I had no doubt in my mind that you would be in New York living your dream on Broadway, on the theater, on stage. I always knew it.
Thank you.
So when you came to Miami on your feet, and I found out through, I don't know if it was the alumni news or if it was, I don't know how we found out you were coming. I bought a ticket that night to see you.
That's amazing.
I was like, of course she is. But now the actress is shifting to associate choreographer. And I can't help but think that that's your mom.
She loves it. Although she was always like, "Get yourself back on stage."
Does she really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, always was like, she taught me how to lead rooms, and that's essentially what I've been doing a lot of, as an associate. Right now, I work as an associate for Moulin Rouge, mostly with the first national tour, sometimes over in the Broadway company. Um, I was an associate choreographer for On Your Feet after the show, after we did our Broadway run, because I was performing in the show then. And it's extraordinary. It's like beautiful for a choreographer to hand you their work and to say, like, can you uphold the artistic integrity of this? You know,
Wow.
like, I will do my very best. And to be the translator of the choreography to incoming, whether it's, replacements or understudies or watching the show and trying to make sure it stays in tune, human, like
Yeah.
shift, but also that it stays sort of within the boundaries that were determined by somebody else. And
Right.
it's definitely been a beautiful space to be in.
Well, you mentioned also that when you were acting and you were on tour, it was very demanding on you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the 8 shows being a performer in a Broadway show, whether it's on tour or here in New York is, or regionally, certainly, but, like, the 8
Shoot.
show week is hard. You're, you're a high performing athlete in a way, especially if you're dancing in the area. Even if you're a singer in the show, I mean, these little chords are small and they're doing big, huge things. Um, you're acting in the show, you're like offering your heart and your spirit. I mean, it's a lot that is asked for that chunk of time, 8 times a week. And then there's no off time. Like during the holidays, you're working because people come to New York to see shows or they go to see shows in town. And so you're just always you miss so much. It's like the sacrifice of the thing that you're skilled and trained and that you love, but with real sacrifice, I think that was something that you don't really learn until you're in it, um, that you miss birthdays and weddings and funerals.
Sure. So your shift to choreography right now, how has that invited you to be more mindful and present?
Yeah, I think, interesting. It's, in this particular job, my current position with Moulin Rouge, a big, huge thing is that the demand on my time is much different. I come in to rehearse when there's the need, when there's people that are coming in, and then they go off to do the tour or they go off to do the Broadway show, and I get to step back and have my time back. Um, and in this season, it's been incredibly important. I think that I have time um, to be curious about other things, to be able to be home and cry, to be able to reach out to friends and or to run to Miami and get to show up for things with my family, um, to reprioritize or to ask myself what feels important right now. So I think when you're on the performer hustle, um,
Yeah.
that train doesn't stop. It's hard. And I think this was something I struggled with and that ended up working itself into, my marriage.
Sure.
It was just, you're on that train and it's really hard to step away from it and go like, wait, what's going on? What's important? What am I missing?
Like, when did yoga instruction enter your life?
Yeah, people had always told me, my brother actually sent me a long message about this the other day. He was like, "What? First one who told you?" I'm like, "Well, okay. Um, it might be true." Um, but people had always told me that they thought it would be something I would like. As a performer in particular, like it's a great way to check in and to make sure the body feels balanced and your heart feels balanced and tapping into your breath. Um, and so I got certified in 2020 before the pandemic, mostly because I was curious about being a better practitioner. I was like, I need a way into this. I sort of hadn't found it, but I was curious enough about it. And then during the pandemic, it was the thing I could do to stay connected to friends, to offer us a space to breathe, um, to try to like hold each other's hands over Zoom and do it together in movement and with fun music or with a bit of philosophy that I had learned. I was learning how to like reinterpret the things I had learned towards the artist community that I think we really needed somewhere to gather. And I needed someone
Interesting.
to do. Like I needed somewhere to be. Um,
Right. Well, I can't wait to take one of your classes
I can't wait
because
to.
I can only imagine that there's tons of ballet in your movement. And I would love to see how you kind of merge the two.
Yeah, I have a
That be like on you form of yoga that you could look into.
Nate.
Performance yoga.
I mean, honestly, I think right now I'm teaching a class, sort of biweekly for the Broadway community, for artists, honestly, for anybody. But it's been a really beautiful thing to have a room of people where we all have the shared experience of swinging an 8 show week, being in between jobs, and the whole room just energetically holds each other in a different way because everyone's, you know,
You're gonna laugh. I don't think I've ever told you this,
I want to hear it.
but in the few times that I've done yoga, And I don't know how I didn't remember to tell you this before. I would extend into warrior. And in my head, I would hear your mom saying, no French fry fingers. And I would just end up like doing my warrior, like with my ballet hands. Yeah, every once in a while. And I don't know why I never thought of telling you that, but I would hear Miss J's voice, no French fries, because she would come and reposition my fingers. She always tell me I had French fry fingers.
So funny, you're holding a hamburger. People hold their hands like this.
When I was doing my daughter's buns when she was a little girl for ballet class, the other thing that it would always come into my mind was when your mom would tell us no cupcakes, because she hated the fact that people would just do this
And then it would stick out.
and it would stick out, and she would tell us no cupcakes.
So funny. Yeah, she had such she was really excellent so warm, so delightful, like such a care bear, like heart open, playful, sweet,
The best.
the best. And she was a really good, she created excellent dancers.
Yes, she did. So made them too.
Yeah. And like, even if you were somebody who walked in who had never danced, had 2 left feet, like part of her thing, right, was to look out and go, okay, I can get you from here to here. I get you there, and I'm going to hold that future for you.
I loved that about her. There was never nothing that you could not do in her class.
No.
And
Yeah.
I'll never forget. She would look at me. She's like, "You're in dance 2. You need to do 2 spins." I'm like, "I can only do 1." She goes, "Dance 2, 2 spins." I was like, "Oh, then I got to stop at dance 2 and not go to dance 3 because there's no way I'm going 3."
So funny. Very her, though.
Very her. Yeah, she had a way. So I know what her dreams for you were, and I know that you're living them, and I know she's looking down and she's saying all of it. But what are your dreams? What are your future dreams? I know what they are, and I have no doubt you're gonna get there. And I'm gonna be the first one to buy that ticket. So what's your dream?
I just had an audition for that. P.S. I mean, it's for the future, so who knows? But it was really fun. I had so much fun.
So let's manifest it. Oh, you wanna? Okay. I'll tell you what. If it happens, you come back and you tell us.
Okay.
Okay.
This is my sweet.
You want it. Before we continue, I want to pause just for a moment because life moved in real time between this conversation and now. At the time of the interview, Natalie had just auditioned for her dream role, and today I'm so happy to share that she landed it. Natalie is now a vacation swing in Buena Vista Social Club on Broadway. It feels important to name that because this conversation captures the courage it takes to believe before the yes arrives. Congratulations, Natalie. We're so proud of you, and there's no doubt your mom is beaming with pride in heaven. And now, let's return to that moment when she was still dreaming it into existence.
Yeah, it's funny because I would love to get to dance again in a Broadway show. I would love to get to do that. It's interesting, though, when I think about performing, the thing that also comes up right away is that I'm not willing to not prioritize my life. Like, that is something that I think out of this past couple of years, it's like I have done that before, where other things, people, experiences, family, things have been pushed to serve my dream and my heart's biggest desire and my work. And now, even if I get to do that 8-show week again, which would be a dream, and certain shows I think would make that sacrifice worth it because there is a sacrifice in doing that kind of schedule. Yeah, I think I would just do it with my eyes open, and making sure that, we've got this like one beautiful life and it's fleeting and it doesn't last forever. And so like the people that are important to us, including ourselves, like we need to make sure not to like leave ourselves or the people we love behind, no matter what.
That's beautiful, Natalie. I share the same sentiment. What advice would you give to somebody navigating both grief or divorce?
Yeah, I think I think with regard to divorce, I know different people, everyone's relationship and everyone's experience is different. Um, I think giving ourselves like a lot of compassion
Yes.
in the midst of like even really hard stuff. Um, like giving yourself credit that like you really did your best and that loving that person. And again, maybe this doesn't speak to every single thing, but like that, I didn't do anything wrong, you know, like wanting it to work is a beautiful thing. And the fact that it didn't is okay. And there can still be love in whatever new, different way, even if you don't know that person anymore, or if you do, But I think giving ourselves like a lot of compassion. And I think not rushing the process, particularly like then, like with the loss of someone, I think we don't have to worry so much about moving on. I mean, like life is meant to be lived, but grief gets to be part of it. And like we have the beautiful choice of figuring out how to carry people we love forward. But I think like any other habit, and building habits is hard and changing our ways is hard. But I think we get I get to choose how I want to carry my mom and the things I learned from her and the things I've learned about myself forward. And if I just move on, I miss the lesson potentially.
I think you just described what would have been my next question, which is what does heartful living mean to you? And I think that that is exactly the definition you would have probably given it.
I think being present to life, you know, and figuring out like how do I get present? And if you don't know, then like take some time and figure it out, you know. Yoga and teaching yoga and holding that kind of space has certainly been a way for me, but I also find it cooking with my friends and like cooking by myself and taking a walk with the dogs, but I think it takes intentionality to be present every day, like as much as we can.
There you go. That's heartful living at its fullest and its finest.
Hey.
Natalie, is there any other excerpt that you would like to read for us for our closing to send us off into the day?
Oh gosh. No, maybe. Let's see.
Let's see.
It's funny how things become like, you know, we need ways to understand the things that have happened to us. And some of this, like writing or dancing in the morning or all these different ways, we're just trying to understand, like wrap our heads and our hearts around things. So that's what this, you know, writing ends up being for me. Just like reaching to understand. Um, okay. This is the last one I wrote. Um, okay, I'll read this little last bit. It's about love and grief in that relationship. Um, what I found is this: grief is my way to her. It is my way back to the wholeness of my heart and of my being. Love without grief stays in the past. It's our memories. It's being in the studio, hearing her say, "Hello, my beautiful daughter," or the twinkle in her voice. It's a call at midnight on my birthday, her beautiful hands, the sweet tilt of her head. If I lean toward grief, I open a pathway to a future with her. I walk up to grief's rooms in my lungs, and when I accept that she's not here, grief hands me the key. The door opens, inhale. There she is. Exhale. Love and grief meeting, so I can truly experience her in the here and now. It's a moment while I dance, the sun shining a little brighter, the sweet breeze, the opening of my heart. It makes my eyes teary with love, it's true. It makes my heart giggle with delight. And I know that delight is her because it was her essence. All of a sudden, it's me and my mom, sitting here right now with my computer, on a chair under an umbrella facing the sea. So I've invited grief to stay. I've told her she can have a voice. She can pour in waves when she needs to. I thank her for using my lungs to open my heart, for connecting me to myself, to my mom, and to what's next. I lean towards grief to hold hands with love, even on a beautiful day by the sea in France.
That was beautiful.
You're beautiful. Thank you.
I wanna close by honoring you, Mom, because this is probably the interview that I was most scared to do because I wanted to make sure that we honored her in a way that would make you happy. So, I want to open the door to the hallway and let her into the room. For those of you that have not seen Natalie's social media, she wakes up every morning and dances. Whether she's crying or whether she's happy. So I wanted to dance all the way out. Let's see. Big yes. Beautiful. I was very careful not to do my French fry hands. Natalie, thank you so much for opening up and sharing your journey with us and breaking the taboo on grief and loss today. I have no doubt that you are going to come to us in the next couple months and you're going to share what that dream was, because it's going to happen.
Thanks.
And I will be there front row, I promise. And on that note, we're going to close out today's episode. Thank you once again to Natalie Caruncho for joining us on the chair today, on the mic, and sharing her journey with us. Natalie, thank you.
Thank you, Cristy.